Good evening. It is 7 o'clock. I will call to order the May 21st, 2024 meeting of the Port Atkinson City Council to order. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Councilman Johnson,
Here.
Councilman Schultz,
Here.
President Lesko here.
Here.
Councilman Jacob will be arriving shortly and Councilman Becker has an excused absence.
Okay. Item 3, public hearings. We have none this evening. Item 4, public comment. The city council will receive comments from city residents. Comments are generally limited to 3 minutes per individual. Anyone wishing to speak is required to sign up in advance or state the following items for the record when called upon: name, address, subject matter, and contact information. No action will be taken on any public comments unless the item is also elsewhere on the agenda. A note for those who are following along on the hybrid meetings: if anyone on the Zoom wishes to speak during the public comment period, please raise your virtual hand through Zoom, as the chat box is not monitored during the meeting, and those on the call must remain muted if not recognized to speak. I don't believe we had anybody sign up in person to speak tonight. Is there anyone on the Zoom who would like to provide public comment?
Got a man waving his hand.
Okay. Mr. House, if you would please state your name and address for the record. You are first up.
John House, 104 Jefferson Street, Fort Atkinson. Just a couple questions for the council. I see there's repair work being done on the roof on the municipal building. Is that correct?
Yes.
I mean, I haven't seen any publication that that was being done, but if it is, it's a great thing.
Yes, that matter did come to council.
Okay, well, then I must have missed it. Another thing that I wanted to quick bring up is the wastewater that or storm sewer water that heads down to my marsh. I brought that up at the last meeting. Don't know if that was discussed or not. I have some concerns again for our family's marsh being inundated with sand and particulates that flow down there. Our marsh is filling up. We've been friends with the city of Fort Atkinson for over 100 years. And I'm concerned about the next generation getting handed a pile of dirt that we don't need. And I also went to a meeting with the Rock River Coalition on this item. It was their annual meeting. I also have gotten in touch with a professor at the Whitewater University. And I've also chatted with the land conservation folks. So I guess I'd like to have some help. There hasn't been any maintenance on any of that ponds or the outflush system since Chuck Woods was the engineer. He cleaned out the last week he was in office. So that's the last I've ever heard of any maintenance being done. So just to be on the record, somebody could call me or we could talk about it or whatever. Any of you councilmen want to meet me down there, I'll show you what's going on. That should do it.
Okay, I just wanted to ask if there are any further comments. You have half a minute left.
I'll reserve that for next week.
Okay. Thanks for your input. Is there anybody else on the Zoom hybrid meeting here who would like to provide public comment? Just give it an awkwardly long pause to make sure. Okay, seeing none, public comment is over. Item 5, consent agenda. The consent agenda outlined below is hereby presented for action by the city council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda on the request of any one council member. Items not removed may be adopted by one action without debate. Removed items may be taken up either immediately after the consent agenda or placed later on the agenda at the discretion of the council president.
I move to approve the consent agenda as listed, items 5A through 5I.
Second.
A motion, a second, to approve the consent agenda. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, the motion is to approve the consent agenda as listed, items 5A through 5I. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Petitions, requests, and communications. Item 6A, review and possible action relating to proclamation recognizing Fort Atkinson as the intersectional peony city of Wisconsin. We have Museum Director Lee with us this evening.
Good evening. This is the 12th year that we've requested the permission to pursue this proclamation through the state of Wisconsin. The museum is home to approximately 70 Roger Anderson intersectional peonies. And an intersectional peony, to make it very brief, is a cross between a tree peony and a regular old-fashioned herbaceous peony, and they have become a hybrid. Roger is there's only about 3 or 4 people in the world who are developing these peonies, and he's since retired from the work, but he is well known within the peony world for these. The museum is the largest public collection of Roger Anderson peonies in the world, as well as the largest public collection of just intersectional peonies in North America. So it's quite something to be proud of. And again, this is a request to pursue that proclamation through the state of Wisconsin. It'd be for the first Saturday in June, so June 1st of this year.
I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the proclamation recognizing Fort Atkinson as the intersectional peony city of Wisconsin and direct the Historical Museum to pursue a proclamation from the state of Wisconsin.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, the motion is to approve the proclamation recognizing Fort Atkinson as the intersectional peony city of Wisconsin and direct the Horde Historical Museum to pursue a proclamation from the state of Wisconsin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do a picture?
Excellent.
Marilee, would you do a picture before you? You're running way too fast.
Okay, item 6B, review and possible action relating to the proclamation for National Public Works Week, May 19th through the 25th, 2024 in the city of Fort Atkinson. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. National Public Works Week is observed during the 3rd full week of May to recognize the importance of public works in an organized society. This year it takes place from May 19th to the 25th, and it is a week-long observation that sheds light on the brave and essential role that our public works employees play in society. They provide the needed services every day, and we're grateful for all of their contributions. We will be celebrating our public works employees, our wastewater operators, and our building inspector, who we will have a couple more proclamations here, with a picnic lunch on Thursday. So we're looking forward to that and celebrating all the contributions of our wonderful staff. So staff does recommend that the council approve the proclamation recognizing Public Works Week, May 19 through the 25th of 2024.
I move to approve the proclamation recognizing National Public Works Week, May 19th through 25th, 2024 in the city of Fort Atkinson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I would like to take a moment to read this one, if you bear with me. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Fort Atkinson. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our city's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and the children in the city of Fort Atkinson to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2024 marks the 64th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, Canadian Public Works Association, Be It Now, and Be it now, therefore, I, David Lesko, as City Council President of the City of Fort Atkinson, and my council colleagues do hereby proclaim the week May 19th to the 25th, 2024 as National Public Works Week.
I move to approve the proclamation declaring May 22nd, 2024 is wastewater professionals appreciation day in the city of Fort Atkinson.
It's such a good proclamation that we can have two firsts of the motion.
We do have a motion and a second on the floor for the National Public Works Week at this point.
Yes. Any further discussion on that one? Okay, all those in favor of, the motion is to approve the proclamation recognizing National Public Works Week, May 19th through the 25th. May 19th through the 25th, 2024 in the city of Fort Atkinson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved.
And we have Superintendent Tom Williamson here today, if you would step up and accept the proclamation.
Okay, item 6C, review and possible action relating to a proclamation declaring May 22nd, 2024 as Wastewater Professionals Appreciation Day. Andrew Hausman.
Thank you. Wastewater professionals in the state of Wisconsin are celebrated on May 22nd each year. Citizens of the city of Fort Atkinson are largely unaware of the critical role that wastewater professionals play in our public health response and the sacrifices they make on behalf of citizens. There are no nights, weekends, or holidays for the wastewater facility, and our professional staff make sure that the residents don't have to think about that. So staff does recommend that the city council approve the proclamation declaring May 22nd, 2024 as Wastewater Professionals Day in the city of Fort Atkinson.
I move to approve the proclamation declaring May 22nd, 2024 as wastewater professionals appreciation day in the city of Fort Atkinson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. If somebody would do me the honor of reading that one.
I think it's practice. Whereas water is the most valuable and vital natural resource, and the city of Fort Atkinson is committed to guaranteeing access to clean water and ensuring the health and safety of all those living in and visiting the city. And whereas the city of Fort Atkinson wastewater utility provides a critical public service to the city, and whereas the success of this program relies on the dedicated wastewater professionals in the city to collect and submit wastewater samples for disease monitoring that enables rapid and cost-effective tracking of public health threats. And whereas many city residents are unaware of the critical role that wastewater professionals play in our public health response and the sacrifices they have made on behalf of the shared mission of promoting and protecting the health of the people of the city of Fort Atkinson. Now therefore, Council President David Lesko and the city of Fort Atkinson and the council colleagues do hereby proclaim May 22, 2024 as Wastewater Professionals Day. I urge all citizens to join to recognize the substantial contributions they make, protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all.
Thank you for reading that.
Of course.
Any,
Superintendent Christensen is here.
any further discussion on this one? We can take the vote on it and then present it. The motion is to approve the proclamation declaring May 22nd, 2024 as Wastewater Professionals Appreciation Day in the city of Fort Atkinson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved.
Paul, if you could come on up.
All right, item 6D, review and possible action relating to the proclamation declaring the month of May as Building Safety Month in the city of Fort Atkinson. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. Building Safety Month is an international campaign in May to raise awareness about building safety. It reinforces the need for modern, regularly updated building codes and helps individuals, families, and businesses understand what it takes to create safe and sustainable structures. We are lucky to have Jedediah Drager, who is our building inspector and zoning administrator. He is a proactive in that role, and we appreciate his work to make the city of Port Atkinson a safe place to live, work, and visit. Staff does recommend that the council approve the proclamation recognizing May as Building Safety Month in the city of Port Atkinson.
I move to approve the proclamation declaring the month of May as Building Safety Month in the city of Fort Atkinson.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and the city manager covered the proclamation quite nicely, just left out the whereases. So any further discussion on this motion? Okay, the motion is to approve the proclamation declaring the month of May as Building Safety Month in the city of Fort Atkinson. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is approved.
And Jed Drager is here. He's trying to hide, I believe, but please come forward and accept the proclamation.
Okay, resolutions and ordinances. Item 7A, review and possible action to approve a resolution authorizing the Department of Public Works application for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Urban Forestry Grant through the Federal Inflation Reduction Act. Superintendent Williamson.
Okay, thank you. So this is something that I put together a short memo on. It is the Department of Natural Resources is partnering with the federal government under the Inflation Reduction Act to put forth the grant monies to various locations throughout the city that qualify. One of the qualifications or portions of the qualifications are based upon parameters set for this program are based upon census tracts and disadvantaged community locations. This city is divided in about 45% of the city is considered mapped and census tract as disadvantaged. So we do qualify for a portion of these funds. The department is receiving $4 million total for the entire state, and they will grant anywhere from $1,000 up to $500,000 to communities that qualify. So what we would like to do, the Parks Department and the Public Works Department would like to partner on this and complete the application for the grant monies in an attempt to facilitate a more active forestry program here in the city, especially within those disadvantaged locations. So at this point, the proposed grant funding would require the city to budget funds in advance for reimbursement in the future as the program progresses. The one unique opportunity to this is a non-match grant, which means we do not have to match any city funds to the grant monies that come in from the state. And on top of that, we can request 50% of the money up front to start the program. So the department will work with the city manager to produce the proper budgeted funds as we move forward. I'm working on the grant background now so that I have some greater understanding of what we could put forward. But as of at the moment, this resolution will not cost the city any money for me to go ahead and produce the documents and get them submitted. So at this point, staff recommends the council to approve the resolution and allow the Public Works and Parks departments to submit the application for grant funds.
Do we have an idea of what kind of things we would spend that grant money on?
Yeah, so the funds, it's a pretty broad amount, or it's pretty broad spectrum of items that can qualify as long as they qualify within the mapped areas. But we can have tree planting services, future plan and of operation can be placed in there. Also, tree trimming, manpower and hours, and consultants fees can also go within that, can fall within those funds.
Okay, any further questions? If not, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the resolution authorizing the Department of Public Works application for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Urban Forestry Grant through the Federal Inflation Reduction Act.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any final comments? Okay, the motion is to approve a resolution authorizing the Department of Public Works application for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources Urban Forestry Grant through the Federal Inflation Reduction Act. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is approved. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, reports of officers, boards, and committees. Item 8A, City Manager's Report. Manager Hausman.
Thank you. On May 7th, the council approved a pre-development agreement with Intrepid Investments to complete due diligence on the western side of the city's Banker Road parcels. The company has ordered a comprehensive market study for multiple elements of the plan, including multifamily and single-family development. We're excited to continue to engage with these partners and view the results of that study in mid-June. On May 10th, Engineer Sally and I had a meeting with the new Southwest Region Director for the DOT, as well as other folks from the Transportation Builders Association, the Transportation Development Association, and representatives from the Secretary of Transportation's office. We toured the city's connecting highways and discussed communication and future projects. We hope to continue to demonstrate the city's need for assistance in repair of our connecting highways from the DOT while establishing fruitful relationships. On May 15th, several staff members from fire, police, and public works departments attended an emergency management exercise at the new Jefferson County Emergency Operations Center. The goal of the exercise was to share information with other agencies in the county and discuss the response to the storm in Port Atkinson in July of 23 and plan for emergency events in the future. And that was very successful. On May 16th, I attended an Urban Alliance meeting through the League of Wisconsin Municipalities in Appleton. The education session focused on using artificial intelligence as a force multiplier in public safety, specifically through the use of public cameras to record vehicle license plate information. One of the benefits of engagement with the Urban Alliance, which includes League of Wisconsin Municipality members, communities over 10,000 people, is that we can learn from larger communities to determine what may or may not work for Fort Atkinson. This week, I attended meetings with Jefferson County relating to the possibility of setting up a financial empowerment center, partially funded through the Cities for Financial Empowerment Fund. The FEC, or that Financial Empowerment Center, would provide professional, no-cost, one-on-one government-led financial counseling to residents and employees in Jefferson County over the age 18. It aligns with the county's new strategic plan. The county has been awarded grant funds, $150,000 over 2 years to pursue this, but they are still in the due diligence phase to determine if it's something that they want to move forward with and it's sustainable in the future. So I am participating in that as a local government advisory capacity. So I should have an update in the fall about that program. I want to congratulate firefighter paramedic Mike Warple, who was promoted to captain in the fire and EMS department. The position became available when Captain Robbie Allard was promoted to division chief earlier this month. The fire EMS department is hiring 2 firefighter paramedics or firefighter EMTAs over the next month. So if anybody knows anybody who's interested, please find details and qualifications on the city's website. I also want to welcome back officers Roger Munoz and Noah Schneider, and Officer Munoz is here tonight, who graduated from the Law Enforcement Academy just on Friday. And now they're back and training with a couple of our highly qualified police officers, Brian Enger and Heather Peck. And Heather, I see here tonight too, so thank you for coming. Earlier this afternoon, I had the pleasure of participating in a scholarship committee through the Fort Atkinson Community Foundation. It took a couple minutes to review all those applications, career path essays, and letters of recommendation, but I was really impressed with the level of talent, passion, and ambition of our current and former high school students here in the city. So that was a great opportunity. Lastly, I just want to mention that the municipal building and most municipal facilities will be closed on Monday in honor of Memorial Day. And the Memorial Day parade starts at the Legion on South Water Street East at 10 a.m. if people are in town and interested. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 8B, wastewater utility phase 2 project completion summary report by Kevin Berg, Donahue and Associates.
I'm just here to introduce them.
Okay, Superintendent Christensen.
Yeah, so it's been since 2021, since when we started the phase 2 of the project. And we are finally nearing the very end of completion part of it, just a few administrative things left to do. So Kevin Berg from Donahue and Associates is here tonight. He was our project manager, and he'll have a presentation on nice quick summary, hopefully, before the weather changes.
All right, thank you for the opportunity to talk through this. I was kind of joking with Paul earlier. It's been 3 years since we started construction, 4 years since we started design, and pushing 7 years since facility planning actually got going. So culmination of a lot of things here. I've started measuring time in terms of how many kids I've had. So we're getting close now. We're up to almost 3 or 2.5. So we're actually at the end now. So normally it's not great when I show up to these meetings, but this is a very good one. So a lot of work has gone into getting this far. So just a few notable items along the way. So notice to proceed, I lost the start of it. So March 29th of 2021 was actually notice to proceed given to the general contractor. Along the way, the project split into 2 phases. So everything not related to the digesters was siphoned off to a more typical completion time that was pretty close to what we started at. So you took about 2 years to get to notice to proceed to normal completion. For those that weren't on the council at the time, about halfway through the project, there was a couple of supplier bankruptcies that we encountered, kind of unavoidable obstacles along the way that forced the city's hand in terms of taking a pretty sizable change order to the project, as well as extending the date to allow that to happen at all. Otherwise, lead times would have prevented that work from happening. So that's kind of how we got to where we were at. So essentially a 1-year delay to 2023 and 2024. Original bid value was $13.4 million. And we're very near the end. We'll probably have an 11th change order that will have no dollar amounts associated with it, just contract time change so we can get the loan closed, and a couple small administrative items. So total increase to the project over a 3-year project was only $385,000. 290 of that was the unavoidable bankruptcies of suppliers. So the actual change order to the project, in this form of accounting of it, was only $95,000 that we changed the scope on a $13.4 million project. And probably half of that was value added type items, where we just simply added scope for the contract to do along the way with items that made sense. Less important, but I think worth noting, Donahue's contract to the city was executed at the same time as the construction contract for just over $1 million to provide support during construction. We've had no changes or amendments to that, and we're projected to finish right on budget, about 12 months longer than we had planned. So worked out pretty well. The city worked really well with us, allowing us to move scope around. And we just effectively communicated throughout to make sure we were on pace. So I'll breeze through this because we're, poor pun there, I guess a little bit of wind outside, but kind of that 3-year schedule. We're opened in March. A lot of work going on. You guys have a copy of this in your minutes and along the way. So like I said, I won't talk a lot of time on this, but we're here at the end. 2 years later, 3 years later, spring and summer, we're at final completion. We'll do final walkthroughs in the next couple of weeks and be ready to issue final payment in probably end of June, somewhere in there. So for folks that aren't familiar with the project, I kind of grouped things into 3 major areas as to what was accomplished in this phase 2 project. So phosphorus removal was the main driver. Changing permit limits and greater reduction in phosphorus at the plant needed to be made. So that the capital improvement that was associated with this was the addition of an entire filter building, all the equipment that goes with it, and also modifications to the aeration system to drive the biological phosphorus removal process, which really, for what that means to the city at this level, is less chemical use. We can use biology to remove phosphorus in place of chemical. Reduced labor and energy costs. So these are side benefits, not the driver for everything, but screening and pumping improvements significantly have reduced labor. I think Paul and staff can attest to this. Frequently unclogging pumps, spending lots of time doing that weekly, scrubbing weirs on clarifiers, just kind of, less than awesome work to do frequently that has since not had to happen at all. So the design improvements are functioning completely as intended and saving a lot of time on that. And then biosolids treatment and disposal. So adding the covers to the digesters, which was an area of one of the issues with the supplier bankruptcy, that cover that has been sourced and installed now has significantly improved solids destruction, which reduces the overall amount of biosolids to be removed from the facility. And it's also greatly improved dewatering, which greatly reduces the amount of water that goes out in those solids. So volume reduction is the main thing. So this is all pictures now on the way out, no more words, just kind of before and afters of all these spaces. So the left is what we had just immediately south of the second final clarifier, and this is what now occupies that space. Pretty large filter building. This houses all of that phosphorus removal equipment. So this is kind of an inside view of that same building. There's 2 filter bays here, so the equipment sits in these tanks. This is kind of an upper view looking back towards where that first picture was taken. The water flow path is moving down the page. We're adding a bit of chemical here to bring phosphorus that's in solution out to a particulate form that can then be filtered and taken out of the waste stream. Upstream of that, there's filter pumping. So this required an extra lift in the plant to be able to move through the rest of the plant by gravity. We couldn't squeeze it into the hydraulic profile. So a little bit of a pretty steady equipment here, not a lot of maintenance demand, but required as part of the project. These are those disc filters that are doing the phosphorus removal. So we take that soluble phosphorus, make it into a particulate that's large enough to be caught on this cloth pile media. So the water flow is in the tank, through the media to the center tube and out. So it's just like a window screen essentially. As the breeze blows through the screen, dust, debris, bugs are caught on the screen, no longer in the air that comes into your house. The filter media is then cleaned off and reused for its continuous use. So it's has a lifespan of the media, but effectively doesn't require someone to go and scrub or vacuum or clean. It's all automatic. That's accomplished using this pump. So it draws a suction, essentially vacuums the carpet per se, and sends that discharge back to the head of the plant where it's taken out in the clarifiers. Polymer system helps support that equipment. So just a summary of capital equipment that the city has basically purchased through this project that makes this all possible. Ferric chloride is a chemical that brings that phosphorus out of solution. Bulk storage, which allows for economical purchase and storage of the chemical. And then metering pumps, which are flow paced to the actual flow through the plant, so we can use as little as possible as well. There's no over waste of chemical here at all. So another capital improvement along the way. So the primary clarifiers, probably no one knows what we're looking at here. Flow comes into the center of these tanks. These are just sedimentation basins. It removes a large fraction of the load to the plant, which requires air to treat. Air equals blowers, blowers equal electricity equals cost. So if we can settle things out early, it costs less to treat the water later. So these were in pretty good need of improvements. These are fiberglass weirs that were starting to get brittle. These are actually the areas that would catch all the rags where staff were cleaning these frequently. The improvement consisted of completely replacing the mechanisms and then installing stainless steel weirs and baffles here that should have a longer service life. And since we included the screening up front, no longer require any maintenance. Well, there's an overall view of the primary clarifiers. There's one behind as well. There's a pair of these. Aeration basins. So flow is coming at you through the page here. These 2 walls were added new. So we segmented this tank into 6 segments instead of 4. This is driving that biological phosphorus treatment process, which I won't go into great detail, but it requires a sequence of no air, air, and no air in order to make those bugs do what we want them to do to pull that phosphorus out of solution without any chemical. So adding this tankage and separating the basins out in this way helps drive that process even during wet weather or altering conditions. So the plant previously struggled with changing seasons and maintaining that biological removal process. Since these have been installed, I think pretty stable, pretty significant impact to BioP, which has actually during the project, we went probably 6 months without putting any ferric in. Yeah, still aren't. So since this has been put in, chemical usage has been basically eliminated. Pretty significant improvement. So blowers, this is your largest energy cost at the facility. These are old multi-stage centrifugal blowers, the Pintos of the world. These were largely not used because they are inefficient, able to do their job, but old. These are high-speed turbos, so significantly more efficient to do the same job. Modern controls, modern pacing, Just a good investment to significantly reduce costs while also reducing the profile of the blower. So when the plant needs less air, these are able to turn down further to meet that demand without wasting any energy. Influent pumping is kind of a different picture in here where we've got 3 old pumps going to 4 new pumps. So these also have mildly cutting impellers. So if there are any rag screen, debris that gets past the influent screens, these can kind of handle it on their own. These pumps were requiring probably a clean out at least once a week, requiring a couple staff members for 2, 3, 4 hours to do that. Haven't had to do it since. So it's been 4 years probably since we've had to clean an influent pump. Wet well wall rehab. So this was part of that screening where we, instead of building a new structure at a cost of probably $5 to $6 million at that time, we reused the existing area to save several $1,000,000. Did require some rehab. So this was the condition of that older concrete in there, which has now gone through a rehab where this is cleaned, removed, braided, resurfaced with an epoxy compound, and then painted white. So we were at that, now we're here. So it should restore the service life of that area significantly. So another kind of before and after, this is the east side of the existing main control building. This is where all the wastewater in the city comes into for pumping right here. 4 years ago, this is what it looked like. Now you'll see an entire structure built over that. So this is that multi-million-dollar saving approach to using what we have and not building a separate structure for screening, just going back over top of it. So staff had to bypass the headworks, which in the wastewater world is a scary term, for probably 6 months or longer, to where flow was not going through the normal pumping systems, was not going through the normal pre-treatment systems, largely running in a temporary state. That was pretty stressful for everybody for a while, but everything went well. Staff responded well. Contractor did a good job. And we got through all this. So what's inside this building, probably what looks like nothing to most folks, but these screens are 3 feet wide, 47 feet long. So this is up at grade. So this is standing at the ground level when you're outside. These are going another 40 feet down to the ground, into the ground. The influent sewer is about 35 feet deep in this area. So these are grabbing anything that is initially in your wastewater as if you were in the street, and carrying large debris and organic material up and out. That's the stuff that will get stuck in pumps, get stuck in valves, damage equipment. That was not previously in place at this facility. Largely had grinders that were macerating that material if they worked well. They were original to the 90s and have been rebuilt since then, but were largely doing nothing. And still keeping that material, they'll ground in the stream. So you still had to deal with it in your biosolids, in downstream processes. That was just moving the problem, not removing it. So this system carries them up, carries it down to washer compactors where organic material is washed off of that debris and then compacted and dewatered for disposal to landfill. These themselves are saving the plant a significant amount of time and effort dealing with downstream problems. And then the aerobic digesters. So these were large uncovered tanks before, had issues with cold weather digestion, which led to dewatering problems. And the solution was to cover them. So this was the item where the original supplier went bankrupt in the midst of supply, negotiated a change order with the contractor to get an alternate supplier in place, sourced this cover, got it installed. And since then, the digesters are operating phenomenally, almost too well. Some operational issues coming out of that, but plants working on that, actually cycling air off and energy savings. So unintended consequences might be working in favor. That's it. So that's what $13.5 million will buy you 4 years ago. I can tell you right now that it was a very timely investment. As everyone knows, construction costs have gone through the roof. It has affected the wastewater sector significantly. Cost of copper, cost of iron, cost of steel. I can say, pretty comfortably that this project bid today would be well over 20 million. You'd be at least 50% more, I think. So a timely project that has gone, pretty well, I think, in the scope of large capital projects. So if there's any questions, I'll take them. Otherwise, I will release you to the storm.
Any questions for Kevin? Nope. Thank you for the update. Nice
Uh,
closure.
Just one sec. I wanted to commend both Kevin and Paul. This was a huge project that spanned 7 years. And the duo here between the two of them, the team that they kind of created was phenomenal. There was a lot of complexity to this, the level of trust that I had and both, you know, learning what you had to provide here. Kevin, with your technical expertise, and then Paul's steady hand at the helm for 25 years of the wastewater plant, steering us in a phenomenal direction was just amazing. Really didn't require me to do a whole heck of a lot, which was the best project ever. Right. So I just want to commend the both of you on a job well done, delivering this on budget, on time for the most part through a pandemic. A lot of challenges that I think need to be acknowledged that we overcame, that you overcame, frankly. I'm happy to provide a recommendation for you, Kevin, anytime you want one. So
Well, we appreciate that.
thank you very much, the both of you.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, for personally, I thank you for that, and Donahue appreciates the opportunity to keep working with the city. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Director Selly, for sharing that feedback. There is no action required on this item. Item 9, unfinished business. We have none this evening. New business, item 10A, review and possible action relating to a request for public monument review for the Hummerson's Pond accessory structure. We have Parks and Rec Director Dayton with us this evening.
All right. First off, I want to thank you for your time tonight, and hopefully I can get us on our way so we can avoid any swirling winds. I'm happy to be here today for this project. As you may have known, the city staff, the Park and Rec Department has been working collaboratively with the Friends of Hummerson Pond Group for many years to really enhance and improve the facilities down there at Bark River Nature Park. This idea for the accessory structure was actually first thought of prior to 2019. And as part of the process that we come to now, the previous director had completed the work on a CORP, which is a comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. This allows us to then get access to grant funding through the DNR. And so thankfully, along with the group over here, they had applied and then actually received a $100,000 matching grant from the Wisconsin DNR. The other side of the matching funds comes from the Friends of Hummerson Pond Group and also with the Community Foundation. So that will provide the funding for this project. After securing the funds, we have been working, and I came in March, at the end of March. I dove right into this project, and we've been working hand in hand on getting this through to this point today. And as part of that, we had to fulfill the public monument and building review application, all the check marks that were needed for that. So we had that last week, and it was approved by that group to move forward. As far as the funding is concerned, like I had mentioned before, funding is covered through the grant and then also with the group here as well, and then the foundation. But the city's contribution towards this will come at a cost of staff time, myself working with the group to manage and then implement the project. As far as short-term and long-term maintenance, we are adding a facility to the park system, which naturally does come at a cost as well, with some added maintenance and care outside the facility. We do currently remove snow down there. We do have a bathroom facility down there as well. So there are some things that are currently happening on site, but this would add to that. So beyond that, the Planning Commission recommended the approval of the public monument at Hummerson's Pond at the meeting on May 14th, 2024. Staff recommends that the council approve the public monument review and site plan as an accessory structure at Hummerson Pond. I can take any questions if you have any.
Not really a question. just know that it was stated in the packet that this is one of the most rented facilities in the city park system. And I know a lot of people have complained over the times of kind of being a small structure, the main structure there is small, so this would help with having an extra structure for cover, if I believe right.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of the enhancement to this too is down the lower level of the current structure, there is a sink basin, but it's not a lot of working area if you were to hold a party and you want to clean up dishes, or if you have Nescos or anything like that, it's kind of tight. So as part of this new structure, there is a concessions building, which does have a sink basin, a grease trap, so that we can make sure that we're not clogging anything up. And then also, you know, just an added amenity to the overall rentability of this space. So it should be a really great addition.
I think this is a great example of just concerned or involved residents within our city and our community that came up with an idea to enrich our parks and our city. Hopefully this will help stimulate other events that will draw people to the city. And I just want to take a second to thank the individuals involved in this project. I think it's awesome, and I appreciate all your hard work.
I'll just note a couple additional items here. If you do recall, we have had residents come in and who were upset about headlights facing residences on Zaida Street, and part of this project puts some landscaping in along Zaida. So it's the intention to possibly continue to use that area that's labeled in 12 on this for overflow parking. I'm sorry, I'm looking at page 55 right now in your packet. That was a place that was used for overflow parking for the candlelight hike and the Halloween event there. And we did get complaints about the headlights, and this includes landscaping, that if that area is in the future used for overflow parking, that it will not have a negative impact on the neighbors. So I did just want to point that out. And that there's a couple other elements to this that are included in the packet, but again, just want to kind of highlight here. There is a wood fire pizza oven, as well as a new flag pole and some opportunities for fire pits and benches for enjoyment of those things with this plan.
No other comments. I'd move to approve the request for the public monument review for Homerson's Pond accessory structure.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any final comments? Seeing none, the motion is to approve the request for the public monument review for the Homerson's Pond accessory structure. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 11, miscellaneous. There are no miscellaneous items this evening. Claims, appropriations, and contract payments. Item 12A, review and possible action related to the verified claims presented by the Director of Finance and authorization of payment.
I move to authorize the verified claims as presented.
Second.
But motion is second. Any discussion? The motion is to approve the verified claims as presented. This is a roll call vote.
Councilman Jacob,
Aye.
Councilman Johnson,
Aye.
Councilman Schultz.
Aye.
President Liscahair.
Aye. Motion is approved unanimously. Item 13, adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
A motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all.